Welcome back. Happy Monday. So today we're going to talk about specifically problem-solving scenarios. Have you ever thought to yourself, man, I give good advice? Like you give good advice to your friends, or you're able to look at somebody's situation and pretty accurately determine or predict what you think this person should do. And you would probably be correct. If that's the case, you often probably have heard the expression, you got to take your own advice, or people don't take their own advice, something to that effect. The reason why is because once you have a little bit of a distance, emotional distance, physical distance, psychological distance from the situation, you're able to actually appraise it more accurately. So, what this means, practically speaking, is you have to be your own friend, right? So, the concept of today's video is learning how to be your own friend, right? So, you're treating yourself like you would treat your best friend, or self-parenting, if you like, depending on how you want to position it. Self-parenting, the approach would be slightly different, but there are similarities, so I can run over the similarities. But fundamental concept is learning to speak to yourself as if you are your own friend. So speaking to yourself in the third person. So essentially, if you look at your situation and you can see that there are a few things that need to be addressed, problems that need to be fixed, that may be a path that needs to be taken, decisions that are not being made or that are being avoided, then you got to really look at the situation honestly and think to yourself, okay, if this was my friend, like if I were my own friend, what would I tell myself? Because, and then you have to actually, best practice to do this is to take a voice memo and, start recording the advice that you would give to yourself. Because once you put that on the table, you become aware of the things that the decisions that are in front of you that are basically required for you to get to whatever next level you want to get to, either personally or professionally or in your relationships or financially or whatever the case is. Now, sometimes you do need external support, right? You do need that friend, you do need a business partner, you do need a confidant, you do need a coach, right? That is true. And we are relational beings, we are social beings, so you can't escape that. So I'm not saying that this is going to replace all of those the other avenues, or the other approach fundamentally, which is um, using the abilities that we have as human beings to connect with one another and to collectively solve problems. But in your day-to-day experience, you might find yourself, and I remember when I was in my early years, always there's something to complain about. There's something for me to gripe about. There's something to me to like point finger at or whatever, right? Now, eventually, you get tired of your own complaining. You probably should anyway. So you get tired of your own complaining, and so you realize that what you used to complain about, it's really hard to continue to say those things and to speak in the same way and to have the same perspective to other people because deep down inside, you know that you're just running the same tape over and over, and you're burdening other people. And especially if you've been doing that for years, like same decision, like the people who talk about their relationship that they need to be ending, they're constantly complaining about their partner, but they never do anything about it. Or they're constantly complaining about their job, but they never do anything about it, right? So you're like, am I that person? So the point here is that when you find yourself in that state and you're running it over and over, just know that the decision that you need to make is the one that you're probably avoiding and the one that you're afraid of. So you have to find out, okay, what am I afraid of? And typically speaking, those are the decisions that you need to make. Now, if that's not the case, if you just have like some nuances that you have to adjust, certain, you're in a predicament and you need some help, and maybe nobody's being helpful, or you can't get a hold of anybody, or you don't feel like talking to anybody, that's when you have to like self-friend, right? You have to self-parent, you have to be your own friend. And the best way to do that is to look at your situation in many different contexts across time as you go through your life and say, okay, if this were my friend, my best friend, I love this person to death, and I would die for this person, I would sacrifice my life for this person, what would I tell them? What would I tell this person? And tell that to yourself and write it down, right? You either record a voicemail or write it down. You want to make it real, right? You want to manifest it physically through your actions, which means you got to speak it and record it, or you have to write it down. Now, when you speak it out, when you speak it out loud, you're also simultaneously organizing your own mind, because the way human beings think in general is through speaking, it's through communication. We can't think properly by just thinking, by just retaining it all internally, because it's actually not possible. Say, for example, to write an entire book, or the to have an entire book in your own mind, right? You have to take what you're thinking, and you have to write it down and think about it and write some more and think about it and go back and edit it. That's the whole process of editing books, making videos, right? So everything that I'm saying right now, I could never in a million years just think from second zero to second whatever, from minute zero to minute, whatever I'm at right now, 10 minutes. I don't know how long I've been talking. But that entire thought loop, it could not be in my head. I would have to speak, because as you speak, you listen to yourself, you're organizing the words, you're getting like a storyboard, kind of like an image, a sequence of images, and so you're able to like follow that track, right? So remember, speaking is very important. So whenever you have an issue, like a problem, you either, like I said, you speak to a trusted partner, an advisor, a friend, family member, whatever. If they're not around, or if it's a very sensitive topic and you just want to be able to deal with it yourself, think it through, absolutely. But it's also important to make sure that you jettison the judgment and you insert compassion, because, like, for example, if you were giving advice to a friend, you probably would not want to treat your friends like crap, right? So if you're treating yourself like crap, or if you're judging yourself, beating yourself up, that's not really a good relationship that you would want to have. If somebody was treating you like that, would you want to have a relationship with that person? Probably not, right? You have to ask yourself, if somebody was speaking to me the way I speak to myself sometimes, would I be friends with that person? The answer is probably no. So no wonder you don't take your own advice sometimes, right? Especially if you're so judgmental and overly critical and harsh with yourself. That's not a big surprise why you won't take your own advice. So be a little patient with yourself, be a little compassionate, take your intelligence and, distance yourself from the situation, look at it from like a third person, pretend like you're your own friend that you love, that you care about, you would die for, and then write it down or speak about it. And then you're going to have more clarity around the situation. So I hope that was helpful to kick off your Monday. This is really like a strategy that you can use basically in any situation. Whenever you're going through a hard time, or you have a problem that you want to solve, or there's a decision that you need to make, or decisions that you're avoiding, or you're stuck in a rut, or anything that comes up, you can always use this technique. It can always be in your back pocket. So please take it, use it. And yeah, hope that was helpful. And I'll see you tomorrow. If you have a comment, leave it down below. If you like the video, and subscribe to my newsletter. I'm about to publish a new article, so stay tuned for that.